What's up, guys? We're gonna Real Beats, and today I'm gonna be showing you guys the catchy beat blueprint. So if you're a person where you're tired of accidentally making catchy beats, then I got you. This blueprint is going to go through every step of the way. There's a lot of core elements I want to show you, especially with the melody. So we're gonna go ahead and hop into it, and I promise you this is going to really change and help you improve your beats from now on. So let's get into this. Now you can skip all you want, but do not get mad at me if you miss a piece of the puzzle. So we're gonna go here and we're just gonna grab in, we could E, right? We could do E minor, it doesn't really matter. I like minor. So, or Aeolian, whatever you want to call it. Any sound, I'm just using the sound, little custom sound here, okay? So here is the method for your melody if you want it to be catchy. Top, bass, and fill. Okay, I'll probably put some text on the screen. So what does that mean? Top means start with your top melody. Second, then throw some bass in there. Now the reason you do this is because it allows you to be open. When you have chords already placed here for you, okay, let's just throw like chords here. It's just random. This is your bass line, so it's written for you, right? And then it's like, okay, well, my melody, this is my melody. So now you're gonna have a generic beat, which is fine. Sometimes that's great, but you don't want that. And that's why a lot of my videos I always preach doing the fifth method, where you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? And this kind of opens you up to use whatever chords you want, and you can build melodies and stuff. Easy, right? So let's go back. So top. So first we're gonna start with the top, right? So you could choose any note, right? It doesn't matter. Now, if you know music theory, you can know like what notes to use and stuff like that. But we're just doing it bass, just the bass right now. So, oops, let me pull it up. So first thing, we can just use our method, right? Just go up 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You don't have to go. You don't have to do this, but I'm just giving you what works every time. All right. And then from here, just throw some notes in there you like, okay? Great. Now, here's the problem, and here's where a lot of people go wrong. When you're making a catchy beat, you have to, now, not all the time. I'm not gonna just sit here and say every single time, right? But most of the time when you're making a catchy beat, adding, like offsetting your notes adds bounce. Now, you can sit here and do this if you want to, like, go ahead. That's perfectly fine, and I'll kind of explain when to use that. But for the most part, for a top melody, you need some rhythm. So we're gonna go down here, and there's a lot of music theory in here. Like, as you know, this is a chord, right? We could talk about that, how every melody is mostly a chord, but we have this in here, and let's just move this over. All right, so now it has some rhythm. Now the last thing you need to do, because y'all know call and response, that's kind of like a backbone of melody. Well, we're gonna fake it, okay? Let's just act like we don't know anything about call and response. We're gonna fake it. Well, let's just take, you know what, let's not even take from here, okay? Let's just move over. Where are we gonna put our other melody? Well, let's leave some space, because silence can be part of a melody as well, right? It's, if you ever heard a beat where like it mutes, like the rapper's rapping and it mutes, it, you know, y'all know what I'm talking about, but that sounds good too, right? When like the melody mutes and the bass is going, etc. So we're gonna use that. So where I like to start is about right here every single time, and this is for a 2-bar loop, right? So this is 1 bar, 2 bar. So about right here is where I like to start the melody. So what we can do is keep going down. So we can go maybe something like, and I'm gonna just offset it. You could put it here, but I'm offset it so it's like a loop, as you can see, right? So it's going, right, and then you can loop it. Not, the melody isn't annoying, it's repeatable, it's nice, right? It's clean, there's no like tension in there. We're good to go. All right, so now that I explained that, so now we need the bass. So we did top, remember, top, bass, and fill. Well, for the bass, you're probably like, well, I don't know what to do, there's no chords here. There's plenty of things you could do. You could use your ear, okay? It allows you to be a lot more free, right? You could use that as your bass. Now look at your bass as a lower top melody. That's how I do it, and it allows me to be free without being locked into like chords and like, oh, I have to use this note. You know, if I'm going for a certain style, then of course you would use what is general, but for the most part, I just like being free with my melodies and stuff. So I'm gonna give you a hack. So all you need to do, since we made this top melody already, right? Let's take this B, we're gonna make a chord backwards, just a few, and we're gonna pull it down. Okay. In harmony already. Now, only thing you need to do here is just add a note in between like so, and you could just choose, I would say up to 4 of these notes. I think 5 is a little too much, but you could choose. We'll just do, let's take this one. We'll do this one. And then of course, you don't want it to be robotic, right? You don't want your bass line to be super robotic. You want to stretch it out a bit. Let's give it some rhythm. Maybe this one can end here. Okay. And maybe leave some space. There we go. Right? Pretty simple. And if you notice, I didn't even listen to it. That's because it's already in harmony. It's a part of the chord, so I don't have to listen to it because I know it's going to work. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about the fill because the bass line is pretty easy. I'm going to color code these real quick. We'll do Alt-C for that, and then we'll do yellow for the top. Okay. So let's go back to white and we'll use this for the fill. So the fill is pretty easy at this point. You pretty much need to just use range. So you need to use all of your range you can. That's what's going to make it sound a lot catchy, especially when we start adding effects. Now, I know we can't see everything that's going on here, but what we're going to do is we're just going to take this, copy it, just to cheat a little bit. There's other things you could do. You could do the 5th, stuff like that, but we're going to just cheat a little bit just to save us some time. I'm going to turn this white so we know what we're messing with here. So all you need to do is arpeggiate, okay, and use your range for this. Now you could sit in here and just make flat chords if you wanted to. That would work. But what tends to work, at least for me, most of the time, is arpeggiating them. So what I mean is like if you were to do something like this. Now, not that fast, but that's the gist of it, okay? So I'm gonna pull this one back and I'm gonna use this sparingly. I'm not gonna overdo it. And then what we're gonna do is make a chord upward, pull this over, and let's pull it up an octave. We're using our range now. Let me make this a little bit larger. We're already seeing the bass, so I'm gonna just kind of cut that out. And then let's do something like, make a chord backwards from here. Okay, so we're just skipping that note in between there. And the reason why I'm saying we're making a chord backwards, because if we continue this, it's making a chord, but we have like the dyad or like the singular note. So when you're making a chord and when you see, and this is for people that are new to my channel, basically these white notes in the background are the scale. So to make a chord within the scale, you would just skip every other note usually. Okay, so let's move on. And I think we can continue this. I kind of like that. Let's move this one over. And then I'm gonna add some little stuff down here. And I'm gonna, just for simplicity, I'm gonna color this one because I don't want people to be confused. Okay, but it's the same note. Okay, so now let's arpeggiate. So we've used our range, we kind of showcased that. And now let's go ahead and use some of that range. So I think what we can do is just steal from what we already have. We have the B here. Let's just move this, because remember, this is starting here. Okay, so we're gonna offset that. Oops, offset that, and then we're just gonna move up. And I kind of want to move this up. And then let's just repeat this just to make it simpler. And then I'm just going to fix this a little bit just so it doesn't look as bad, so we can kind of see everything. Maybe move this out, move this out. Okay, so that is our melody. I'll play this one time through, and there's one last thing we're going to do. There we go. And I'll be honest, I'm kind of holding back here. There's a lot more we could do, but I think this is simple enough and most people could kind of grasp this. Lastly, copy it over. You do not want to get stuck in this loop, literally. So only thing you really need to do is just change a few notes. I'm just going to change this. Just move that up, whatever, okay? And then let's go ahead and play it. And I'm going to just make sure it loops. All right, so I like that. That's pretty good. So that is the top, bass, and fill. So what we're gonna do next is I'm gonna layer some things, and then we can kind of talk about the other instruments and everything. Now we're gonna go ahead and talk about rising and falling melody. So this is more for like your counters and stuff like that. So we're gonna talk about how to use them. Now I'm gonna keep this real simple because we spent a lot of time on this, right? We really took our time with this. So first, what we can do is for these sounds and this one, we could just copy this over here because layering is going to be very important. So you can get a lot of weight and depth in your melody, because a lot of you probably have a good melody, but you're missing the weight. You're missing that layering that's going to make it come together. So we're just going to do that from the get-go. And we got all these weird frequencies going on, okay? So we're going to use this one. And I purposely picked this one because it's very ear-piercing. So I'm going to show you the actual like melodies that we're going to be using. So this is what they're going to look like. So rising and falling. So it'll look something like this. All right, so that's rising. We can call them like stairway, whatever you want to call them. And then you have ones that go like this, and then vice versa. Where they go up, then down. So those are like the four that you'll see commonly. Now, because we have a 2-bar melody, so our melody is actually only 2 bars, but we faked it being 4 bars by just changing up some notes a little bit. What you want to do is utilize space. So we're not going to just play this over and over, even though that sounded pretty good. We're not going to do that. We're going to let this breathe a bit. So we're just going to do this and then just rearrange the notes. So we can do, let's go ahead and move that. We can do maybe, let's see, maybe we could do like, make these a little bit longer. Oh wait, let's pull these up. I like that better. Okay. And then what we're gonna do for this one, same thing. Let's just move it up like, and then keep the same note here. And you can take this whichever way you want. It's up to you. If you want to try a different note, you can. This is just what I'm personally doing. So our melody is pretty much done. The last thing we need to do is add some high energy. So I chose this piano for it, and it's got to load. Okay, so I chose a piano for this just because of the style that I'm going for. So this will kind of be the main melody, but then you also need something that adds a lot of energy to it. Okay, or it doesn't actually need to do that. You just need something that ups the tempo, if that makes sense. So let's go ahead and do that together. Now we're gonna go ahead and add our piano. So this last part is just for energy. So you ultimately want to have a sound that has more energy, or add more notes to give it more energy, just to kind of make it more active, to make it seem like there's more going on. And this is more for like a drop or something like that, because this right here is fine. Let's play it. But it kind of is low vibe, so we want something in there that ups the tempo a bit. Okay, so let's just copy our melody, and this is the piano I'm using. Okay, copy it in here, and this is what we have. So I'm gonna delete some of these. We can delete just the front part. Matter of fact, let's just use that. So just ignore the bottom. That's all we got. Is, you know, but we're gonna reconstruct this, and we just want to add more notes. So I'm gonna pull this up, and then we could just make it trickle down, right? So using our rising and falling, we can kind of use that a bit and just fill in the notes. Let's pull this up an octave though. And then maybe if we took this and move this over. Right, you can see now it has more energy now. Okay, and I think that's about right for what I want. So this is all we're gonna do. And we could do something unorthodox. If you wanted to like add some triplets in there like this, you could. And you could add like some little chords up here, and we could maybe add like this up top. You want to do something like that, you could, just to have a little bit of fun, so we're not completely on the grid all the time. And this will work because it's in 1/4. Okay, it's kind of like jazzy-ish rhythms. Probably want to move this up. And if you don't know which grid I'm talking about, it's this right here, 1/4 beat. Okay. And let's go ahead and move it over. Okay. And I think that's good. All right, so our melody is finally finished. So the last thing what we're gonna do is, I think honestly, I want to start with the effects because I think that's very important to finishing this up and making it sound like professional, right? But I think what we should do is talk about things like the drums and stuff next. So let's go ahead and do that. Now we're gonna go ahead and start with the 808s. So I do not like 2-bar melodies usually because the 808s always sound too fast because there's too many 808s going on, right? Too many 808 changes happening in terms of key. You can see we have 1, 2, 3, and 4 within 2 bars. I don't like that typically, so I'm gonna show you a little hack that I like to do. So any passing chords, and not literal passing chords, but like any short-lived chords, I take out and only put the 808s that have chords or melodies that last for a long time. So I would usually only put the C here, skip the D, E, and G. That way the 808 slowed up and it'll give you a little bit more bounce, especially when we start adding the drums. And you'll see it happen. So let me show you what I mean. So C, let's go in here. So I would only add this, and then here. That way the 808 isn't as active, but it's still impactful. And it's not like, okay, oh, we got all these 808s like boom, 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 right? Like it's too much going on. And maybe it's not. And that's not bad, but for me, I typically don't like that. I kind of like a smoother, more mellow 808 pattern. And then you can also, like, let's say like, hey, I don't want something this simple. Well, you could still add other tones in there. Like if you wanted to do something like this, you could, right? Right, so it's still active, but it's smooth, right? And then over here we could maybe just smooth it up a little bit, something like that, right? So now we got a little bit of variation. And at the end, if you want to add a little something there, you could, but I'm gonna just put this here. Boom. And then I have this 808 kick that I'm gonna throw in too. All right, so there we go. And let's just throw this on the 808 kick. And this is just an 808 with the decay down. Oh wait, I think we're gonna leave it with the same key. And I am going to Control or Shift D to make it smaller. Just to add a little bit of thump. Right, so now you hear that little thump. It's not a kick, but it's like a little thump. It's kind of like the 𝗖𝗙𝗙𝗦 808 kind of a little bit, but yeah, so that's the 808. That's kind of my tips for the 808, something you can kind of get away with. I'm sure some of you out there probably don't like those super short, you know, repetitive 808 patterns. So that's a little tip you can use to kind of mellow it out a bit so it's usable. So lastly, let's go ahead and talk about the drums. The drums should be easy, but there's some tips in there that I think will help in making the beat a little bit more catchy, especially with an 808 pattern like this. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and take care of the drums. So there's 2 tips I like to follow when talking about the drums, because there's a million drum patterns and most of them will work. You can put any drums down and it'll sound good, but we want to maximize the bounce or the catchiness. So let's go in here, and the first one is basically using your drums to bounce off of or into your 808, because anticipation is what's going to create bounce, and having a lot of bounce is going to make your beat catchy. So how do we increase the anticipation? Well, you have drums lead into the 808. Now they can lead out as well. Okay, that works perfectly. All right, so it's just like snares, right? You have your clap and then a snare in between. Y'all know that pattern. That's the same thing, and that's why it makes it bouncy, right? And it's kind of offbeat too, but typically you want to have that there. And I'm gonna try to simplify this. Right, so you have your clap. You can probably have like a little hi-hat there, and then you can have like a snare chop or something that goes into the 808, and that is gonna create that bounce. Okay, so remember, anticipation equals bounce. So into, out of your 808s. Okay, typically I would say do this for your drum. So a lot of you probably, if you've watched my videos before, you heard me say that, like, okay, build your drums into your clap or out of your clap. And this is typically what people do. And I think I built this wrong. I'm kind of confusing myself. Here we go. Right, you probably seen something like this. So it's the same concept, except don't do it for this, do it for your 808. All right, so last one, stutters. So stutters are just chops, but instead of it being with one instrument, it's between two. So I'll give an example. Let's just zoom in. I know this is super small. It would be like something like this. And then, you know, you could do whatever here. I don't know. I'm sure you get the point. So those are kind of like stutters. Now, I don't know if that's the actual term for it, but that's just what I came up with it. So you want to add some of those stutters in there. It could be at the end, it could be wherever, but I think this is going to actually set you up for success for making the beat catchy. All right, now I'm gonna turn some of these off just so we can kind of do the drums. And also I don't want to ruin the end because we also still need to add effects and stuff. So I don't want to be used to hearing this. So let's clean this up and then let's go ahead and add some of these drums in here. So we can go ahead and kind of do whatever we need. And then let's we can start adding some of these stutters in there. And you can also pan some things. I'm not going to do that right now. I feel like we've done enough at this point. And maybe if it doesn't sound that great, we can add like velocity changes, but I think it'll be fine for now. Put these on bar so they repeat. I think that should be good enough. And maybe we could add one right here. I want to hear it with this on there. Okay, I think I do need to fix this though. I don't know which one. Or maybe it was fine before, I don't know. Or maybe something like this. I don't know. I don't know about that. I kind of liked it. I was. Actually, yeah, I'm gonna keep it like that. I kind of like this solo. I kind of like the offbeat a little bit. It's different. It's not your typical trap, but it's all good. I think it's fine the way it is right now. We can also add a variation later if we need to. So lastly, we're gonna go ahead and add the effects, and this is gonna actually make our beat sound quote unquote professional, because right now it doesn't really, it sounds good, it's catchy, but I think we take it from B to A or B to S tier, right? So let's go ahead and do that. Now we're gonna go ahead and talk about the effects that I went ahead and added. So this is going to be the best example that I can give you as to why you need to add effects. This goes from B tier to an A tier beat, okay, just with having these effects on here. Okay, so this is bare bones, and I'm not going to play with the piano because the piano doesn't have any sounds or any effects, so it wouldn't make sense, but this is bare bones beat. And then with the effects on, and then just hear the difference. That is a huge difference. Just a completely, one is amateur and one is pro in my ears, right? Like this, I could tell like, okay, you probably, it's a decent beat, but this right here is like, that's professional to me. So let's talk about the effects. All right. First we'll go down the line. Okay. And we'll just go through them quickly. It's nothing crazy. What I'm going to do, cause I am using Portal and I'm using some presets in Portal, and Portal is very difficult to explain. I'm going to tell you the effects that give it that kind of sound, right? So first let's start here. So I'm gonna just mute a few of these. So you guys have seen this before. Basically, I like to, around this frequency here, I like to take out some of this. And the reason why is because, well, this is at 100 hertz. I don't know why, like scientifically, but it does make, for some reason, taking this out makes the bass thump a little bit harder. And then I just pull these up. And then usually I just kind of mess around with these. So that's like a template that I just modified. And then soft clipper, right? If you want a little bit more rumble, you can pull it down. But I like mine around 6-ish. Now let's talk about the melody. So bare bones melody here. And I'll just turn all these off while we are at it. All right, so let's talk about the preset. Now, obviously, it's a preset. Like I can't, unless you have the preset, I can't really do much. But the actual setting that gives it that like freezing reverb sound effect is the stretch. So the stretch is on freeze, as you can see right there, and the retrigger is at 1/2. So I'll turn it off, and you'll see that the sound will go off. And then on. So that's all you really need, and everything else can be preference, right? And really, we could just use this. Now moving on, we have this one. Now with this one, I just wanted to enhance it a bit and add some delay. So we just had this little preset on here, and this one I think is a little bit more complex. So let me actually just play it without this. It's a little bit more complex. So that's just the preset. You can copy it if you want to. Ups and downs, ramps, fills, right? And maybe, yeah, it's a little bit more complex. Okay. So yeah, but we have delay to give it a little bit more bounce. So that last little part, that little like end part of it, I wanted to enhance because I really like that. So I just used the delay bank. I think every other delay in FL Studio sucks. This is the only one that is actually good because it has everything you need. The Fruity Delay 3, I just feel like it's too, like, I don't know how to explain. It's too much. It doesn't just do exactly what I want it to do all the time. This one is consistent. And I'm not saying use this. I'm just giving the reason why I have this, because some people might be like, why aren't you using the new stuff? It's because this is actually, I think 𝗪𝗏𝑣𝑟b is the newest one, huh? But yeah, I just put this on 8, and then yeah, just that's it, and it just gave me the sound I needed. Yep, and then let's move on. And this one, I guess I can mute these. And this is the preset here. Okay, it's the melody diffuser. So that's pretty much it. And then we can just kind of run through these because chorus, simple chorus, okay? And then Portal, this is just the pitch eclipse. Just kind of give it that detuned effect. All right, so we can go ahead and skip ahead, and I'll have to mix these. fix it later. But yeah, and then we have our piano. Okay, so we've run through all of those. Lastly are the drums. Now the drums is a little bit special. I overdid it, but not really. So what I mean is a lot of this stuff I didn't need, but I wanted flexibility later. Probably can close that. So I added a Fruity distortion, which gave it, I guess, some heat, right? So we'll turn it down. So you can kind of hear that doubling or that like distortion. You could choose between A and B. And then I add some flanges for like some spread, but I just mess around with the preset a little bit. And I probably should zoom in so you can actually see. So there's that one. And then there's this. That's kind of how I have mine set up. And I just turn the flanges down a bit. And then the EQ. As you can see, for the EQ, we just simply just rose some of the frequencies here. Okay. And this is a preset I just made, so it's just specific to this beat. This is not like an overall general thing. It's just specific to these drums. And then transient processor to clean it up a bit. Right, you can increase that. So yeah, that's the beat. That's pretty much everything. Okay. I'll just play it once or twice through. All right, so that is going to be the Catchy Beat blueprint. I really hope this helped you guys out. I really want you guys to start being able to, you know, make the beats that you want to make every time. You know, you don't want to be, you know, messing around for an hour and not get anything down that you want. I want you to be able to get in there and know what to do. And even if you want to experiment, end up with something good. But yeah, that's the Catchy Beat blueprint. Hopefully you enjoyed. Like and subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.